In addition to tacking the door, which is rolling it up and leaving it between the doorknob and the door frame, the sheriffs say they also mailed me a copy, which is standard procedure. Not registered mail, not certified mail, to make sure it gets to you, but they just put it in the mail supposedly. Which I didn't get that either, and I can see my mailbox from my office desk just as I can see my front door. It's right next to my front door. And I go out and check the mail every day. I see the mailman go by. I get through with what a stopping point, what my work. I walk out and check the mail. If I happen to be running down the street to this grocery store running an errand or something, I check it as soon as I come home. So the odds of somebody stealing it off my front door, a microburst coming down and sucking it off the door up into the sky, I mean, it's not going to blow away. I live in a wooded lot. It's going to get stuck in the vegetation and go nowhere. The mail, their explanation was, well, things get lost in the mail. Yeah, but both of those things at the same time happening, odds are astronomical against that. But when you consider the fact that, yes, I've filed this multi-million-dollar civil rights lawsuit against all these entities, the judges, and including the sheriffs. Now, the sheriffs are in the lawsuit primarily because the house next door, my ex used to live in. And they did a dispo on that a couple of years or so ago. I was losing everything to foreclosure because of the bank stuff. I had to build houses, write foreclosing construction loans, literally in a couple of days. IndyMac and Countrywide yanked the loans because they'd been making bad loans and got out of the business. Anyway, the loan was in my name on her house, and I went to the dispo hearing, and I got the case dismissed. Somebody sues you for $1 million, and they lose. The judge dismisses their case. They don't get the $1 million, right? Same thing on a dispo. The judge dismissed the case, so my ex was not supposed to get evicted, and they didn't get the house. Well, my guess is the judge did not know, this is a magistrate court, Judge Cox, didn't know that I lived right next door to this house. And after dismissing the case, he gave a writ of possession to the bank anyway. Meaning that if somebody sues you for $1 million and they lose, the judge gives them the $1 million anyway. It's absurd. It just happens I've had to sue Judge Cox before also. Another trick the judges like to pull is even when they rule in your favor, they try to not let you use it. And just as Judge Cox had done this, he had issued an order in a case that I was going to be able to use to my advantage in my other cases, my other properties that were lost to foreclosure. So he just didn't file the order with the clerk. Didn't file with the clerk, I can't use it, so I had to sue him. And I've had to do this to many judges in Cobb County. And that's what they do. I've had judges not rule on motions for just, twice the legal limit. I've had one case like I think it was 9 motions just sitting there. They just refused to rule on them. So I had to file a writ of mandamus. I can't tell you how many writs of mandamus and prohibition I had to file in Cobb County. Mandamus is to compel a public official to do their duty, and prohibition is to stop them from doing something they have no right to. Well, anyway, the sheriffs show up next door. I thought it was just a paperwork snafu. I went over there with my order of dismissal signed by the judge, stamped filed in by the clerk, and showed it to them. They did the dispo anyway. Did an illegal taking, unconstitutional taking of the property. They don't care. Yeah, they're all. I know it sounds like a conspiracy theorist thing, but honestly, the banks, the judges, they're all in it together. The judges support the banks. They don't care. I lost $2 million in one phone call when my construction loans got yanked, and another $1 million of loans that were approved as these houses started selling. So right off the bat, I lost $3 million in my ability to make income. Somehow now, a few years later, that's all translated into I'm a deadbeat homeowner trying to get a free house. It's insane. But anyway, back to the dispo on this house and why they wouldn't mail me or really tack the door with notice. Besides just trying to get rid of the civil rights lawsuit, well, that's pretty much it. But they know I've got them dead bang to rights on the house next door. They did a dispo on a house where I had an order dismissing the case. That's a huge civil rights violation. And that's one thing about civil rights. Judges, sheriffs, doesn't matter who you are. A civil rights violation pierces that judicial immunity that they think is 100%, as do criminal charges. Many of these judges over the years, besides using their discretion as a weapon against me and other pro se litigants, they'll often just violate the law, and that's criminal obstruction of justice, and that pierces their immunity too. And that's what this civil rights lawsuit is about. We're going after all these judges, all these people for all the stuff they've done over the years. There's no statute of limitations on civil rights. So there's your answer as to why they'd come out and pretend they held a hearing. And actually the sheriff told me that he attacked my door on June 6th, so 4 weeks after I filed the civil rights lawsuit. The sheriff's department claims they attacked my door and mailed me a copy, which I never got. And then I guess, 6 weeks after that, they come throw me out. Now, either it's because I'm suing them, and they didn't really serve me, and I put this in a number of pleadings in discussing foreclosure and in fighting to keep my properties. I put in there that the judges and the banks have one goal, and that's to get you out of the house. They don't care if they do it legally or illegally, because as long as you're out, it's almost impossible for you to prosecute your case and fight to keep your house while living under a dumpster rent. And that's what they're trying to do to me. Just as this is right here, you saw the what I call my multi-surface table, multi-purpose surface, which during the day is my desk and by night it was my bed. I slept on that table a number of nights. But why, I guess the next question is, why are we suing them? Again, abuses by the court, but why would they do that to you? Well, one reason is because we're pro se litigants. Judges and lawyers both hate pro se litigants. I understand their frustration because on average, most pro se litigants don't know what the hell they're doing. That means representing yourself. I understand their frustrations, but at the same time, that's one of our greatest rights, is our ability to self-representation. So that's just one of those things they need to just suck it up and allow. Now, this all started with me 30 years ago. I was a remodeling contractor, and I had a "Shit Happens" bumper sticker on the back of an old work van. Georgia passed a law called the Obscene Bumper Sticker Law, which was specifically designed, as my understanding, to get rid of the quickly proliferating "Shit Happens" bumper sticker. I bided my time. I knew eventually I'd get pulled over, get a ticket, and I did. Smyrna pulled me over, wrote me a ticket. This is important too. When you get a ticket, when you sign the back of it, you're not admitting guilt. All you're really doing is signing a signature bond. As in, if you were in jail and everybody in town knew you, you'd say, "Hey, can I just get out on a signature bond? Just sign my name and give my word I'll be back." Same thing on a traffic ticket. That's how that works. The date of your court's on the ticket. You show up for court. You've got three choices: plead guilty, pay the fine, do a NOLO if you qualify for one, plead not guilty. And if you plead not guilty to a judge trial, they'll do that day or set you up one in front of that judge if it's a municipal court. Being a municipal court, if you want a jury trial, they can't do that. So what they have to do is bind you over to state court. And what you do is, just as you sign the back of that ticket, you sign a piece of paper now transferring jurisdiction over you and your case from the municipal court to the state court. No big deal. A few weeks or a couple of weeks later, you get a letter of a new arraignment date from the state court. You start that whole process over. You go in, plead guilty, not guilty, whatever. But you've already asked for a guilty trial, a jury trial, and that's what they schedule you for. But that didn't work that way with me in Smyrna. I pled not guilty, jury trial, and instead of just signing the back of a piece of paper transferring the jurisdiction over me in my case to state court, they threw me in jail. No kidding. The judge decided that the only way you can bind a case over to state court for jury trial is to be processed through the county jail. Of course, that's entire bullshit, but they just wanted to mess with me. Okay, you want to challenge the constitutionality of this law? Fine, we're going to make you earn it. That's unconstitutional too. I was locked up without due process. Anyway, it took me like the wee hours of the morning to get out of jail. Finally get to trial, state court, found guilty in state court. Ultimately, the Supreme Court of the state of Georgia agreed that yes, indeed, shit happens, and the law was thrown out. I prevailed. Now, while on trial, in state court, I believe, I don't know if I mentioned or not, that the ACLU represented me on the bumper sticker case. Me and two of the lawyers were standing in the atrium of the Cobb County State Court, And a news reporter came up and said, well, I guess y'all are going to do that next, right? We didn't know what he's talking about. We turned around, it turns out we're standing in front of a copy of the Ten Commandments, hanging on the courthouse wall. Now you see where all my troubles began. Here we are in the Bible Belt, and yet we went to court, made them take their Jesus off the wall. Hey, look, I don't care what you believe in. I happen to be agnostic. You know, that's to each individual person to be religious, not religious, and what religion you want to be. And that's the whole purpose of the government staying out of it, remaining neutral. Government has no business telling anybody how to do their religion, so the government cannot have religious displays on the wall. I'm agnostic. My attorneys were Jewish at the bottom of the thing. It was attributed to the teachings of Jesus Christ. Jewish people don't think Jesus Christ has come yet, so it was offensive to them. So anyway, one of the lawyers and myself ended up taking the court over it. Not my choice, didn't want to. At the time we all laughed and said, oh hell no, we don't even want to mess with that. 4 or 5 years later, driving down the road, and I saw the attorney's number come up on my cell phone, and I knew exactly what it was going to be. James, we need a Cobb County tax-paying resident to be co-plaintiff on taking the Ten Commandments down. You said you were agnostic. At this point, this is the bumper sticker was in '85. This is in the early '90s that I got this phone call. By that time, I had transitioned from remodeling into being a real estate investor. Had rental houses. I did my own dispos on my tenants. That was the beginning of my dabbling in doing my own legal work. And I knew that being part of a lawsuit to make them take the Ten Commandments down in the courthouse, from the courthouse in the Bible Belt, was not going to go over well. I knew there was probably going to be repercussions. I didn't know how bad, but for the past 30 years, or 25 or so, I guess, since the Ten Commandment case, I don't go into court without a judge trying to screw me, period. Sometimes it's done by abusing their discretion, sometimes it's violating black letter law, but I've kept track of every damn bit of it. Judges have a great, vast discretionary power, which they should, but not everything in the law is black and white. So the appellate courts are very, very, very slow to interfere with the judge's discretion unless it is a great abuse of discretion. So I've been patient. I've compiled case after case after case, and what it amounts to is like a circumstantial evidence case. You got to have a whole lot of it to win, and that's what I've done. I've got just so many cases of it. And then again, in addition to that, there's just black letter law violations, which amounts to criminal obstruction of justice, and the continuation of it. Not just doing it to me, but to others, pro se litigants, whoever the hell they don't like. Basically, anybody that the banks are against, they rule against or try to rule against. That amounts to racketeering. So that's my history. I've had judges that were both the judge and the defendant in the case, believe it or not. It's amazing. I've already mentioned I've had judges that refused to rule on my motions. I've had to sue them, force them to do it, force them to file motions with the court. It's insane. It's insane. I had someone that works in the court system down there telling me that when I asked, why do they keep doing this? They know I could sue them every time, and they said that's why. They figure that the more writs of mandamus, the more writs of prohibition you file, the crazier it makes you look. But at the end of the day, I'm backed up with facts. I mean, every case I've filed against them is proved. I mean, it's all incontrovertible. It's fact. So I'm fine. I'm fine with that. And they know that now. And that's why they did what they did. They just came and threw me out of the house and said, oh yeah, we served you. So what's more likely, that they served me and it blew away, or the sheriffs who are on the hook for the illegal dispo and taking next door didn't want to be in court and get sued for it? And now, considering me, is there the chance that I just didn't answer it? Well, it's been about 7 years, I think, since I've been fighting for this house and my other houses. I had a few properties around town, in court, filing bankruptcies, anything legal I could do to try and save my properties, learning the law along the way. I met Jeff in 2012. We both were hooked up with this loose group of in Metro Atlanta, people that were all fighting foreclosure. We all discovered laws that were being violated by the banks, and repeatedly the courts have ignored these laws. They don't care. They let the banks do what they want. They give the banks the house every time. They just don't care.